RuneScape has always had a competitive PKing scene from the early days of RuneScape 2, to clans, bounty hunter, demo mode servers, the Jagex Cup, and now in 2024, with PKing being the most intense state that it's ever been in, the PKing skill cap has finally peaked. But what if I told you that for just $20 a month, you could become a better PKer than 99.9% of RuneScape? For the last few years, the PK client problem in RuneScape has continued to grow, and it is now finally at a point of no return. On a game like RuneScape, where once skill and practice meant that putting in the work would make you better than most, has now been reduced to less than a small McDonald's order on DoorDash, even without the tip included. For years, I've been a deep wilderness PKer. I've spent thousands of hours over the course of my life PKing at Mage Bank, East Dragons, PvP Worlds, and I've always really loved the idea of PKing in single-way combat. From TBing your opponent and engaging in large-scale battles, to the thrill of a 1v1 fight in max gear. This is what always has been exciting to me about RuneScape. In the early days, players would practice for weeks on end to improve at PvP, fighting each other in the duel arena or clan wars portals, to eventually gearing up and trying their luck in the wilderness, often upgrading their gear as they improved and accumulated kills, and many would even go on to create content around PKing, joining clans, or even competing in high-scale PvP tournaments for prizes and notoriety. But somewhere along the lines in 2010, the origin of cheating in PvP began, and the process has been ongoing ever since. It all started with something called auto-switching. Players were often praised for being able to switch 6 or 8 items at once and having the guts to PK with them. Around this time, players would use a program called JitBit in order to switch all of their items when pressing a key on their keyboard. This would obviously give them an advantage in fights, as instead of having to accurately put on 8 items, the program would just do it all for you. If you were low HP or about to die, instead of switching to your tank gear and clicking 8 items, you could simply just press F6 on your keyboard and JitBit would do it for you. Over time, people got clowned on and were continuously ridiculed by the PKing community who tried to implement these tactics. This stuff was kind of looked at as pathetic and wouldn't often be taken seriously within the underground PKing circles and the clan world. Rightly so, in the upper echelon of the PKing community, no one thought highly of someone who used a program to switch for them, as your reputation in these days meant everything, and once you were outcasted from the clanning circle, you were looked at as scum. This was basically the extent of cheating in PvP during the pre-EOC era, but little did we know, this PvP curse would return, and it would return with a vengeance. In the more recent years of RuneScape, players wanted a more optimized game client as opposed to the original one, as it was lacking several quality of life features and ultimately made the game less enjoyable for all. Jagex understood this, and after some time and a ton of Reddit debates, they finally decided to fully endorse Runelite, the greatest RuneScape client ever created. Runelite would allow users to have access to and import their own external plugins that fundamentally changed the way that we would view the game. As it would make certain things easier, it would also allow players more functionality that otherwise would be inaccessible. However, this did come with some issues. Since Runelite was open source, players could easily peek into the code and either extract information or add to it. And it wasn't long before the players of RuneScape decided that they could use the Runelite client to create a real cheat engine that would allow them to excel in PvP. Players would use this opportunity to script plugins that would not only automatically change gear for you like back in the day, but it would also eat, change weapons, use special attacks, and never miss game ticks. At first, it was mostly noobs using stuff like this, and they were pretty easy to kill, so it didn't really impact the majority of the PKing ecosystem. However, over time, the plugin scripters improved, and so did the players, which started a wave of unbeatable Megatrons. 2 years ago, when the Steam client for RuneScape officially launched, I came across a group of players who injected the client with code and used several cheats in order to annihilate anyone in PvP. For weeks, I battled with these guys in the Revenant Caves, and it seemed as if nothing would stop them. Even when they got banned, which was hardly ever, they would always resurface the next day with a brand new account that they bought on a black market, and the rampage would continue. These guys were making so much money by killing legitimate players in PvP and selling the gold that the account bans were not even relevant to the profits that they were bringing in. Fortunately for me, these guys were actually kind of cool, and they would eventually come into my Twitch chat regularly and told me how the client worked, showed me several clips of how the program operated, and what it could do in a 1v1 scenario. From my perspective, it looks like I'm fighting a PKer who's in max gear and standing on me between hits. He combos me down with a volatile nightmare staff and then into a max hit with the Elder Maul. Seems pretty normal, like I just got outplayed. But from his point of view, the client automatically changes into max gear and barrages me, and then it steps under me in the same game tick after putting on tank gear. Then in the next tick, it automatically switches back to max mage, uses a volatile nightmare staff special attack, changes back into his tank gear, and steps under me once again in the same game tick so I can't see them. It automatically one ticks into the Elder Maul for the KO, and then stands under me again. For the average player, this might not even be detectable, but this is often happening more than you think. So yeah, as you guys can see, truly some devious stuff. These guys must have killed me over 20 times in the span of a week, and that's going against somebody who knows what they're doing. Imagine what these guys were doing on a daily basis to the average PKer or even somebody who was just experiencing the wilderness for the first time. To make matters worse, these guys told me that they hardly played RuneScape at all and thought it would be fun to just hop on the game and abuse the PvP scene for a few weeks. I don't know how true this is, but they said that they mostly played League of Legends and Dota and just happened to have a background in coding. With limited knowledge of RuneScape, this is what they could do to anybody in the Revenant Caves with little to no experience in PvP. After a few months, the Steam client injectors totally disappeared, only returning for Deadman mode once in a while and to mess around. But that's not even the real problem of today's era. Nowadays in 2024, we have bigger problems. Players have created entire cheating Discord servers where for just $20 you can have access to the greatest PKing abilities in RuneScape. These custom-made plugins will allow you to fully abuse your opponent in PvP while doing almost nothing at all. So yeah, for just a couple dollars a month, you can terrorize PvP and go toe-to-toe with the best PKers in the game.
That client is too strong, bro, in my life. He can just do anything he wants.
It's actually so embarrassing that Jags allows such a vast and impressive PvP scene, one like any other game, to turn into such filth and degeneracy. I'm honestly quite embarrassed to say that I was proud of being a good PKer at one point, knowing how many hours I've dedicated to practicing over the years, and now this stuff is going on under our noses and absolutely nothing is being done about it apart from infrequent bans that are only due to player reports. The problem with this is that it ruins the ecosystem of PKing and gives the undeserving players a chance to be a top tier PKer without putting in any of the work. These clients are extremely difficult to fight since they're not human and never make mistakes, and now even gold farmers from Venezuela are using these methods to kill players and sell gold as opposed to their regular botting or gold farming tactics, killing revenants or farming PVM bosses. This is just way more lucrative.
Bueno, pégate. A Gabriel salva que no pela un estangle. Buena, Gabriel. Espera. Gabriel, tratarle de hacerle que la vida se la baje y burla, loco. Pero ay, lo malo es que el loco no baja chip, man. Listo, se fue. ¿Cuánto queda? Ahí, ese. Coronaste, marico. Coronaste, marico. 400 M, buena. 400.
Why would anybody enjoy or want to become a better PKer in RuneScape knowing this is what's out there and what they will eventually need to compete with? Legitimate players lose tons of gold even engaging in these fights, and with all the terrible updates to PvP such as the PJ timer changes and logout timers being decreased, these guys have even more advantages over the community who plays fairly. All in all, it's just sad to see what RuneScape has become, and either this stuff is 100% undetectable by Jagex, or they're just extremely careless and have given up on PvP to the point where they don't even want to moderate this stuff anymore. RuneScape was once a game that was recognized and celebrated for its PvP system and unique style in the MMO space. And now it's nothing but a joke with a pathetic end to a legendary storyline. As I spoke about it in my last video, The Many Disasters of Deadman Mode, which you should definitely check out, link is down below in the description, 38 minutes of every Deadman Mode disaster in history, these PvP plugins have been ruining the last few tournaments as well, which has caused many content creators to quit early and stop promoting the game mode, which is not healthy for the longevity of RuneScape. If Jags doesn't do something about this, the PvP scene will continue to starve and the game will never recover. We literally have players making full-length, multiple episode-long PK videos using these plugins, and they only ever get banned after a player harasses Jags to do something about it. But by then, it's already too late. They've been on a rampage for weeks, killed hundreds of legitimate players, which ends up being a totally unfair way for them to lose their items and acquired wealth.
Hey guys, my name is Novus. I'm the person editing this video. I visited an interview with a guy named Antonio. Antonio used to work with a lot of the Venezuelan clienters, and he's where we got a lot of our information from. Antonio is concerned that if his identity is exposed in the process of making this video, it could potentially cause him some real life harm. As a result of that, and in combination with the fact that he said several words that we cannot put on YouTube, I have had to cut the interview quite a lot and change his voice, but I tried my best to keep the integrity of it. So I hope you guys enjoy.
But the thing is that these bennies, bro, trust me, they are like, how it's called, like gangsters, bro. You know, these are not the bennies that, you know, they're red farmers and shit. This is a job for them because if they get banned, they try to, bro. Whenever they get perma-banned.
They don't know your voice or anything, right?
A lot of them knows, but I hope they don't realize.
How often would you say you would run into, like if you just went PKing on a regular day, like just went world hopping, how likely are you to come across somebody using the cheat client? Like how often are these guys out there?
A lot, bro, a lot. If you have 20 fights in the Rev Capes, like from 20 fights, I don't know, 17.
And what happens, do you think, if these guys, like if they get banned?
A lot of them deactivate the auto-eat. As you can see, all the bennies, if you eat yes mode, they don't even eat between hits because they deactivated that mood.
So what you're saying is they've basically used the client for specific things, like and the reason they do that is to make it so it's not obvious, so they can avoid being banned and make everybody think that they're fighting a legitimate player, when in reality they have only the advantages that they need.
The things that they need to improve and put some anti-cheating on the client are it's a modified Runelite that you exploited. So it's very, very difficult to catch them. The only way to catch them is using the videos or just abusing it, you know.
Yeah, like making it really obvious.
Exactly.
How do you know the cheat clienters? How do you know they're using it? And like, what do they do?
I think the main thing you can see whenever they're using client is very easy. First of all, go to altar, right? In altar, all the bennies do not bring teleport. So instead of the teleport, they bring seats. Body seats and middle seats. You will see, you can fight a benny, and you will say, okay, this guy's good, because bennies are not good. There are a few ones that are very good, but the others are trash. You can discover them because whenever they are low in food, they're not gonna run. They're gonna go for the auto DD. So, if they get the freeze, they're gonna start approaching you. You just simple double seat, bro. Nobody have their reaction time to move 2 steps at the same tick and also eating and changing prayers. I think that's the main reason that you can see if somebody is using this kind of clients.
And how do you know these guys? Like, how do you have so much information on them? Like, where did...
There was some guys from USA trying to sponsor the client in the Benny's Discord. So that's why all the Benny's starts using it, because it's free money. The advantage you have is a lot. It's a lot.
Is there anything else that you want to include that you think the public should know, or Jagex needs to be aware of?
Every time, if you PK guys, try to record, and if you see something sus, just send it to guide. For all the people that are gonna see this video, record every time you PK. Or try to help the community, because if not, the world is gonna die. Everyone is gonna be PKing, and well, it's boring.
If you feel the same way that I do and agree that this needs to be fixed, please remember to share, comment, and like this video. By spreading awareness, we can make sure that Jagex can't ignore the problem, and the only way to truly fix this issue once and for all is to keep the topic out in the open. Until the issues are addressed, RuneScape will struggle to move forward, and PvP will remain stuck with no real solution. Thank you guys so much for watching all the way through until the end of the video, and once again, don't forget to come check me out on Twitch. I'm live every single night with PKing content at twitch.tv/abyss. I'd love to see you guys in the chat, meet more of my audience, and once again, help the PvP community grow.